Hey signers, mark your calendars for Tuesday, April 9th, because I will be hosting Live with Meredith here on YouTube. This is where you can get your questions answered and learn more about ASL. Hope to see you there. Can you share the history of sign names? When do I know when to sign once or twice? Are there ASL books you recommend? Could you recommend an ASL dictionary? Hey signers, so how do you obtain a name sign? I'm going to answer that question and more in this video. I answer ASL questions all the time in our intensives and on Live with Meredith sessions through our Accelerated program. If you're wondering what Accelerated is, I'll share more on that later. This video is a compilation of the best questions from these live sessions. So let's learn how to sign. Okay, Sarah. Can you share the history of sign names?
Okay, sure, I'm happy to. So sign names, how did that come about? Okay, sign names actually people that are unique because they're given to people deaf, hearing, it doesn't matter, by a deaf person. So when you was learning to sign, you can't just come up with your own sign name. You can't make it up yourself. It's given to you as like a gift from a deaf person that could only been given by a deaf person. It shows that the person, whether they're deaf or hearing, has made their effort to be involved to dive into the deaf world by learning their language, by going to deaf events, by immersing themselves into the deaf world. Deaf people recognize when they see a hearing or deaf person coming all the time. They're like, ooh, we see that, and it is sign name, so they will give you one. So if you want one, go to the deaf community, go to deaf events, meet deaf people, sign with them often, that they will give you a sign name. I personally do not give full advice to the design name. I don't, because I have to ASL too. I don't know how involved they will be with the deaf community. So I read till they were in ASL 3 or 4. However, I didn't give one student ASL 2 a sign name because during ASL2, we had the other teacher, my co-worker, but every time before we went to her room, he would stop in front of me. Son, how are you? How's your day? What did you do? What's up? We would have a conversation every day, Monday through Friday, every day, 2 minutes before we went to class. So every day finally I thought to myself, wow, he's been doing this all fall. This was bored. It was almost at the end of the school year. I thought I need to give that boy a sign name. So I gave him a sign name, Kevin. So because of that effort, that conversation with me every day, he shows that type of dedication. I hope that gives you an idea for what went. Okay, back to Meredith.
Such a great explanation. Emily. Hi, I'm Emily and I'm new. Psyched to be here. I'm having trouble with understanding when to use a closing signal. Is it just for questions and responses to questions? Thanks. So the idea of a closing signal is, of course, it is following textbook ASL, all right? So think of, here you are in your English class growing up. I don't know who did what kind of English, but mine was Shirley English, all right? And you had to unpack the whole entire sentence, divide it. Here's the subject, here's the verb, and then like labeling all of your English phrases. Think of the closing signal as a part of that, textbook ASL, all right? That closing signal is showing when a thought is done, pointing back to yourself when you are talking about yourself. when you're asking a question, pointing to that person. Hey, what about you? Or, hey, I've got a question for you, okay? The idea is that I've finished what I'm signing, I'm asking, or I'm finished telling you about me. Now, of course, are we going to see conversations where we don't see the closing signal within ASL structure? Yes, of course. Does it make it wrong? No, right? But the idea is pointing back to yourself going, I am done with what I'm saying, and I've made a statement about myself, versus I have a question to ask you, or I have a question to ask you, and I'm done asking it, now it's your turn to respond. That's the basic idea of a closing signal. So I hope that kind of gives some clarification on how to build upon what a closing signal actually is. I need a light bulb moment for any sign. Some you do once and some you need to do twice. When in learning mode for the first time, when do I know when to sign once or twice for proper signing? Okay, so what this is probably entailing is a lot of having to do with noun verb pairs. And I think Amy kind of answered this in the comment section as well. So noun verb pairs is where a noun is going to be signed twice. A verb is signed once. Scissors to cut. Scissors to cut. Food, eat. Food, eat. Chair, sit. Chair, sit. So nouns are going to be signed twice and verbs are going to be signed once. Now, I know that that might seem odd because you're like thinking of a verb as an action, but if I am sitting down, I am not going to go, right? I'm not going to try to sit down twice. It is the action of the sitting down. It is the action of cutting. It is the action of eating, right? I'm not doing this with my food, right? So that is a way to kind of remember it whenever you have words that are noun verb pairs. I hope that that explains that. Next question from Lauren. How would you sign the phrase too good to be true? So the idea, the idiom of that, too good to be true, is like, I don't believe you, that's suspicious, all right? As the cool kids would say nowadays, that's sus, right? What's sus? Suspect, sus, like this. And you will even see the lazy version of going here on the chin. And I say lazy version because I do that. I'm like, bringing it up here. Like I've talked about, the sign no is up here on your head, but yeah, no, it's brought down here as well. Lazy version. Okay, you might see, you might have seen me sign like student, but then I go, right? It's just kind of how those signs flow, the abbreviations, but it's still understood. So that's too good to be true. That's sus. If you're enjoying these questions and answers, or maybe have thought about a million of your own questions, I answer questions just like this every Tuesday during Live with Meredith in our Accelerated program. You're probably wondering, what is Accelerated? Accelerated is our membership program centered around community, courses, and culture. I believe these to be necessary building blocks for learning ASL, or any language for that matter. Community. You will have exclusive access to the Learn How to Sign Discord server, where you can find the ASL community you've been looking for. It's a great way to connect with others, ask questions, practice, and even make friends. Courses. We currently have 7 courses within Accelerated, and are always making more. We take the same curriculum and produce the entire course from the beginning in a format that works great for students to take at their own pace and have fun while doing it. Culture. We always make sure that ASL and Deaf culture is at the center of what we teach. Every intensive and on-demand course has multiple cultural lessons. We also cover pop culture with our Live with Meredith. This stuff matters, you guys. We also have so many ways to practice ASL through quizzes, exercises, silent chats, and more. For more information and to sign up today, visit the link in the description. Now to some more questions. All right, Lisa, what is the best way to signal if you've misspelled something while fingerspelling or use the sign wrong? Do you start completely over? Darla, do you want to explain that?
Sure. Well, you noticed that tonight I was like, oh, I messed that up. So I just pushed it to the side and I started again. So you can do that, or you can be fingerspelling and go, and then fingerspell it. So you could just stop and go, whoops. You could say, my bad. You could do that too, but just, and then start again. It's really that simple.
Yeah, and when she's saying start again, like start from the beginning, not where you messed up, because you don't know where the mess up was. Start from the beginning of the word and do it again. Angela, what is the sign for a person with a doctorate degree? In other words, not a medical doctor. So DR, you're gonna abbreviate doctor, just because, you know, there are so many different kinds now, but of course a medical degree doctor, that wouldn't be an appropriate sign for somebody who has a doctorate in education, right? So DR, doctor. I just finished watching your first responder video and noted times when you use the question, this wiggle index right here for asking a question versus eyebrows down. Is there a difference? All right. So eyebrows down, what kind of question is that? WH question, WH, right? Question, hey, I've got a yes, no question, a yes, no. So the eyebrows up, eyebrows down, eyebrows up, eyebrows down. WH question, yes, no question. All right. So that's how you can kind of see the difference. So yeah, great way to like look in the comparison between the two of those and go, ooh, what is going on? And why was this emphasized here? Great job. Betsy and Lydia shared basically the same question. Are there ASL books you recommend or books on deaf culture? So I grabbed a few off of the shelf. It's an old one, but it's a good one. ABC basic course. I really like this one because of like how many examples and stuff there are within it. The ASL structure and everything. So it's, you'll have to do some digging to find it. It's not one that's like still being published per my knowledge out there. But as you guys can see, like the Sharpie on it, like they were done using it in class and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take my copy. These are great ones for culture. We have right here, the deaf community in America, the history in the making. So it covers, let me look at the front of it just to kind of give you the table of contents. So earliest known history of deaf people, origins of deaf learning in America, historical issues in education, life in deaf communities, recognition of ASL as a language, expansion of visual languages, emergence of colorful communication, enlightenment of independence and personalities through the years. So it has a lot of information in there. I really like this book. And then this one, train, go, sorry. This is an ASL-ism, all right? An ASL idiom that is like, hey, the information has gone, it's left the station kind of thing. And this right here was just a compilation of tons of stories through a school for the deaf in New York. And love this one, train, go, sorry. Of course that there are tons of others out there by personal perspectives of, you know, deaf actors or things like that. So as you kind of look at this, you can kind of look at, these are ones that are a little bit more current, ones that have been released. So highly suggest those. All right, next question for Sarah again. Sarah, I remember hearing that only a relatively small percentage of English words are fully understandable solely by lip reading. Is that true? Do you rely on other cues to complement your lip reading?
Since the period that I have had this conversation with Brooks Pound Issue that said only about 30% of the English language is different, and that is true, that's also an average. Now it just depends on the skill level. For me personally, when I read them, part of it is filling in the blanks. Then there's been a bigger spell. You recognize sinners, so you won't filling in the blanks. So when I'm reading them, okay, this is this, this is word, this is this. Then the concept, what they're talking about. Oh yeah, they're talking about a day word. You just kind of then figure out what they're talking about. And if you miss your word, you just kind of fill in the blank. The biggest problem I have with lip reading is that the person will start talking before I look at me the first 5, 6, 7 words with the first 3 sentences. But I say I'm like, start over from the beginning. I wasn't looking at you. So that's the biggest problem I have. Or they're looking down and stop. Like, hey, that's a bad man. Anyway, so you just a lot of trial and error repeat at the bags. Okay, thank you. Great question.
All right, from Gerald. Hi, Meredith. Can we cover computer versus laptop versus MacBook, Mac, Chromebook, PC, Windows? Yes, we can. Okay, so signs for computers, there are variations. There are what's called like older signs for computers and newer signs for computers. This right here is an older sign for computer, all right? You have to think of the machine itself. If you see that being used, it's probably from an older deaf person, all right? I, for many years, signed this, and it was because I was taught by 2 older professors teaching this sign. But as times have changed, so have the signs, all right? Used to, telephone was like this, all right? Hold it up, right? Nobody has a telephone like this anymore unless it's a prop in, or, you know, like some antique in your house, right? My grandparents had one and I had so much fun. I pretended to call everybody on their phone. So as times has gone on, there's a couple of more signs for computers that are now more, that are now the ones that you see. You're going to see like computer like this for the brain of a computer, right? Computers are brains, they're smart. This is also the sign for Columbus, all right? So know that the context of what you're speaking about, right? Columbus Day versus computer. Then you also have the sign computer like this, computer. Yep, C hand going up your arm, computer, okay? Computer. Then we have the sign for laptop. The majority of the ways that I see it is like this, hand facing down. but your non-dominant hand can also be facing up. Just to me, it feels a little bit more awkward in my non-dominant arm, but people do it and there's nothing wrong either way. It's just by maybe what region you're in, computer, or sorry, laptop, laptop, laptop. Now, opening the laptop, closing the laptop, right? We can show the action of doing that. Just like that. Okay, so let's talk about the different kinds that we have listed. So Mac is going to be finger spelled, Mac. M-A-C. And then for the MacBook, you are going to you're going to sign laptop along with it. All right, so MacBook, Mac. If you wanted to sign like about an Apple product, Apple is used. It's not, of course, you're like, well, that's the fruit, but it can also be an Apple product as well. Then we can talk about Chromebooks. Now, I was looking for like if there's a generalized one, and really there hasn't been one that's been landed on, but the majority of people, if they're going to like know that they're finger spelling Chromebook in every single kind of situation, they'd abbreviate it CB. But you have to set up at the beginning of the conversation what that is, because an abbreviation CB, we might not know what that is. So finger spelling, and then from then on, it could be used CB within the conversation. So that is for that one. I threw in Microsoft because it popped up whenever I was coming along, pulling up everything. Microsoft, MS, Microsoft. A PC is just finger spelled, PC abbreviated, all right? And Windows, do not sign this for Windows because that is an actual window, all right? You're gonna have to finger spell Windows. Windows, yes. Do not do this, all right? Because that would not be the accurate sign for that, okay? And just like we've talked about before is what is the meaning, right? The sign concept to the meaning itself. Now, I kind of went a little nerdy on this, so I'm going to share this with everybody, but this video link that I am sharing right here, if anybody wants to dig into it even more, it is called, oops, I forgot, I didn't copy the H there. I'm sorry, I will do that again. It is Coding Concepts in American Sign Language presented on Apple's website, all right? And as you can see here, they have these different videos of Will and Tim sharing about coding, functionality, debugging, all this stuff that I know nothing about, but that I can enjoy in American Sign Language and watch and probably learn something by the end. But I thought it was really cool in the concept of, as we're talking about computers, if you wanted to learn a few more technical terms as you're watching it, but also in a very well-made video. So wanted to share that along with you guys as well. I left that link there. This next question, Sarah. Sarah, as a fellow parent, I wonder, how do babies of deaf parents get their parents' attention, say at night, when they need to be fed and the parents are sleeping?
Yes, I'm potential that we have devices that have allowed flashing or vibrations with big and is connected to them house to depend on for big or smaller house. But our house growing up, we had devices on for the doorbell, knocking at the doors, or if people are really loud screaming or the phone ringing, the phone I'm going off, smoke alarm going off, all of that. Sam comes up with babies. Please shut up, I glued. Hear the baby's room every receivers all through the house. So I couldn't tell if the baby would cry and go back again in the middle of the night. So when my babies were born, I did have a single room because my hearing dog was no longer with us at that point. But I do have a funny story for you. So the lights that flashed through the whole house, not just one room, because if the baby's asleep in the baby's room, and I can't just be in one room all day long, reading, and maybe in the kitchen cooking, I may be in the bedroom, I may be in the laundry room, I might be in the living room watching or reading a book. I could be anywhere in the house. So, the baby will cry, and the lamps through the home that connected to that will flash. But when that, when my son was born, there was a baby, tiny baby, where when that he was crying, my husband and I were trying this method of having him quiet out to see if maybe he'll stop crying. We let him cry for maybe 5 minutes. We're parents, we're training our babies to maybe, stop crying by themselves. Anyway, without being mean. Anyway, this one night, we let him cry for we were 12 or 5 minutes, about 3 minutes his time. So we went back to sleep, but all of a sudden, the doorbell was ringing. The lights were flashing again. Says you do know the difference between the doorbell and versus any other line, because the flashing shows a different type of flash. Anyway, my husband goes to the door. It was our neighbor came and say, I think our house is on fire. You need to leave. My husband said, no, that's not what happened. He explained, well, she knows me and Dave explained we have a flashing signal that tells my wife when the baby cries. Anyway, we thought the house was on fire. No, we wasn't. Anyway, that's how we know.
Oh, it's just so funny. Your house is on fire. I finally got a chance to watch CODA this weekend. I noticed the end scene that Ruby held out her hand in the I love you, and it was slightly different with the one finger crossed over the other finger crossed over another. Does that alter the sign? This is I really love you. All right. And that I really love you. I really love you. Okay. Next question. Could you recommend an ASL dictionary? Also, not to be rude. Oh, I arrived late due to another commitment. Thank you for what you do. If I could only sign those words. All right, so Jan, thank you for joining on. If you are here right now, if you're not, I hope you can watch this later. Okay, so recommending sign language dictionaries. We will be releasing one sometime in the future. We are working on it. Okay, I see the facial expression. It's a lot of work, guys. It's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work on Brian. So can we just give Brian a round of applause right now? Because the amount of technology that he deals with on a day-to-day, I don't understand it. God knew what he was doing when he put us together, because I just today learned how to make reels. I didn't know before this, but now I slightly know. But technology is something that I am trying to learn, trying to teach myself, all of that stuff. And he's the one who's championing this and getting all this moving forward. So we are working on one. But until the meantime, all right, I prefer online dictionaries. All right, I do have printed forms of dictionaries in my home that stay in my attic most of the time. All right, I'm being honest. I will pull them out just to cross-reference, things like that. But the reason I want them to be online, right? I want to check them online is because you're getting things that are the most current, right? Think as they have changed within, the past couple of years. There's a lot of dictionaries, like they don't have the sign COVID in there, right? It was pre that time. Well, signs add on, right? It develops through the years. So I really like that because of the change, in different vocabulary, different signs, keeping up to date on all that stuff. Also, it's three-dimensional, right? A three-dimensional language on a two-dimensional form is really, really, really hard to decipher, especially when you don't know the sign at all. If you knew the sign and you were like, ooh, but what's the hand shape for that? Or what is then looking at a dictionary to reference going, oh yeah, it makes this movement or whatever. But you can actually misproduce the signs if you're looking at a printed form and trying to learn from that when you're signing it out, because you're not getting the full form of what is on there. That's not to say that you shouldn't have one. If you have one and you reference to it all the time, awesome. But the ones that I like are Bill Vickers' Life Print, right? He's amazing at what he does. Yes, love him. I love Handspeak. Handspeak is a great one. Another great one to use. And then I also like signasl.org. And the reason I like signasl.org is it has so many different signers and you see the variations between the signs, and because there are regional differences, right? So whenever I'm signing something, of course I cross-reference and everything, but I also try to remember like, okay, well, I know that there's this variation and I know that there's this variation. And then that can be a lot. But that's what I really like about signasl.org is there are so many different signers there that they've compiled all together onto one database. And then you can see the variations there. All right? I'm always excited to answer the questions that my students have. This is a great way for them to have more niche or specific questions answered. We often aren't able to cover specialized signs on YouTube because frankly, not enough people would watch it. So Live with Meredith is an awesome way to get those types of questions answered. If you want to join the fun and ask your own questions, check out Accelerated with the link in the description. Until next time, keep learning how to sign.